If you could describe radical acceptance and self-care in one word, phrase, or mantra, what would it be?
Mahia te mahi hei paenga mo te iwi, and that means do what is necessary for the benefit of the people or of your tribe. And that's something that I really just try and live by. And if that means sometimes putting yourself in uncomfortable situations, but you are true to yourself and your beliefs, then that is the driving force. And that is really what matters most. Doesn't mean it's easy, but it's the right thing to do.
Welcome, queer kittens and new earballs. I'm V, a two-spirit human, joy influencer, energy worker, and dad joke connoisseur. All pronouns accepted. This podcast started because we just want cutie BIPOC to be well, to feel seen, and to be heard. So let this be your queer compass guiding you towards radical acceptance. And wherever you are in your wellness journey, just know you're not alone. We hope this podcast brings you joy where you'll learn, laugh, heal, and grow. I wanted to start this episode with a little personal share of mine because currently I am working on receiving love. But before I jump into that, let me give you a little backstory. It was March 2nd, 2024. And I was in San Francisco for the Global March for Palestine. And I decided to involuntarily step into the train tracks with my foot. So I'm guessing as some of y'all are cringing your teeth, yes, I messed up my foot / ankle / they're still trying to find out what's wrong. We've got some injuries going on here, but it's teaching me how to receive love. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to reach out to anyone listening and ask y'all to send me healing, because by the time this episode is released, I will still be in this boot. So if y'all can send some healing, and for anyone else who fell in March and injured themselves, we're going to send you some healing too. And with that said, this is my boot for land back. And we're going to be having on this episode an amazing indigenous Māori lesbian, and her name is Theia. She, her. She is unapologetic with her music that it calls out political issues, social issues, patriarchy issues, and she proudly presents her indigenous Māori heritage, like having like bilingual lyrics. And also, I don't know if y'all know, but she's got 17 million streams on Spotify alone. Here on this podcast, like, we curate who we choose to be on this show because we want to amplify the voices that are taking action for the collective liberation movement. And she is definitely one of those. You know, me being a indigiqueer myself, like, it's so inspiring and lovely to see someone like not only standing up for their indigenous peoples, but she's also sharing the language, you know, so like young Māori people that may have lost their language, like they have something to look at, and which is super inspiring and just empowering too. So we're going to give you a little taste of her track, Dollhouse. We chose this track because it talks about many intersectionalities of not only her experience, but like a lot of the collective experience and many queer folks of these fucking boxes. Y'all, we don't need to be shoved in no boxes. I'm just going to let the song speak for itself. So, DJ, drop that beat.
My mother always wanted a girl to dress up like a two pigtails and curls. She'd be patient and she never talk back. What a shame I made a fucking mess of that. Cross your legs, be chased of heart. Mind your manners, play your part. Read your Bible twice a day. Close your eyes when you pray. I got mommy issues buried inside my dollhouse made of tissues. I have a temper and a bad attitude.
Did you like that? I bet you did. And if you want to hear more, I suggest you go to her Bandcamp, download the music, so she can get some money in her pocket, y'all. Before we jump into the interview, I just want to give you a little background on how we're about to open this up. She is going to do a karakia at the beginning and the end of the interview. And what that is a Māori incantation and prayer used to invoke spiritual guidance and protection. And she is going to bless us from the beginning of this interview until the end. So, without further ado, here's Theia.
O te akina maramatake te atua, mo tō mātou ki, ni mo te whareka ui ariki, mo ngā tinana mau iwi tiana, tā ainoa kia mātou katoa I te rānei ai. Nā ngu te koro Theia, nā ngu te koro Theia, nā ngu te koro Theia. Rire hau, pai Māori re. E aku nui, e aku rahi, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou katoa. Whiri tēnei no roto mai o Waikato-Tainui, no te puahau Waikato, ko Taupiri te Maunga, ko Waikato te Aua, ko Waikato-Tainui, ko Ngaati Tiipaa, ko Ngāti Amaru Ngaku Hapu, ko Kauranganui, ko Ōrairoa, ko Teko Teitanga ngō Kumarai, ko Kukutai, ko Karaka ngō ku whānau, ko Theia hau. Tēnā tātou katoa. Ko aku mahi, he kai tito waiata, he manu tiori ora oria anō hoki, he wahine moi wahine ahau. No te hapori takatapu me ki o Aotearoa nei. Greetings everyone, I am Theia. I just did my pepeha, which is like our traditional way of introducing ourselves, where we cite our connections, like 6 to 8 generations back from our ancestral mountain, river, iwi tribe, hapu, sub-tribe, whānau, family. I'm a proud Waikato-Tainui girl from Te Puaha Waikato, and I am a composer and a singer and proud wahine moi wahine, which is our word for a lesbian, which literally means a woman who marries or sleeps with women from our queer community in Aotearoa. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Thank you for being here. Such a blessing and an honor to have you here with us today.
Yeah, I'm stoked. I'm so happy. Thank you.
So I wanted to start a little different today than we normally do. And I wanted to just really quickly talk a little bit about different intersectionalities that you may have when it comes to race, religion, culture, and all of that. For instance, for me, I'm Mexican, Native American, Yaqui and Hopi, Filipino, and of course, Spaniards in there because of you. I don't even have to go there. And then I'm spiritual. Oh, and queer.
Slay.
And I accept all pronouns.
Amazing. Okay, I'm Māori. We are the native people of Aotearoa, New Zealand. I would say the communities that I intersect, or the boxes I could tick if there had to be boxes, would definitely be obviously indigenous, lesbian. I was raised kind of between two worlds, like the super conservative Christian world, and then also the Māori world. So that's very kind of quite challenging to navigate as someone who doesn't obviously, my pronouns are she, her, aroha mai. Yes, as someone who obviously does not fit those traditional heteronormative conservative beliefs, like extremely political, pro-indigenous, pro-queer, pro all of these things. Yeah, growing up kind of in that space where you're groomed really to just grow up to be like it's a bit harsh, but not wrong to say subservient housewife. And then also having so much involvement and nurturing and influence from my from my grandmother, Rangirara, and in that traditional environment and with our traditional beliefs and following the Pai Māori faith, which is the whakapono, or the belief that I recited the incantation of at the beginning of this session. That's definitely something that I feel like has really formed me into the wahine, the woman that I am today, and has really grounded me in my identity and absolute knowledge of who I am and what I stand for.
So you said a couple words that I wanted to go over. You said incantations, and from the state side of things, when incantations is being said, it often is like shied away from or like scared because it's like, oh, witches. Would you identify with that? Or how would you explain incantations for you?
Yes, I mean, totally. I understand what you mean. I feel like that's very obviously, it's quite a popular colonial belief, of course, that incantations or prayers, like when you're not, seeing it in a Christian space or state or context, then of course it must be witchcraft. And whereas, and obviously that was one of the tools that was, used to really oppress our people. But yeah, our people traditionally, we live between te ao wairua and te ao kiko simultaneously, which is like the spiritual world and the physical world. You just can't have one without the other. We'd just be constantly praying and citing incantations, and because you have to be able to, because that's how, intrinsically connected we were, constantly walking between those two worlds. So it's something that, it's just ingrained really in our culture, in our spirituality, in the way that we do things. So yeah, I love the word incantation. I feel like it's so powerful and beautiful, and cites really what karakia really are, right? They're used to open up spaces, to set the tone for spaces, to set the intention, to call upon ancestral knowledge, to, close spaces in the same way, or to keep the tapu or the holiness or the sacredness or the work, whether good or bad, in that space so that you can be free. And noa, N-O-A, noa is like the absence of tapu, safety. Go out and be safe without that tapu or separation upon you.
I love that. Like, I was raised really a lot in the Catholic and then Christian lifestyle. And then I grew up to be an adult and find my own spirituality. And I've been unlearning the colonial ways and relearning my indigenous ways. And everything that you just explained is literally everything I've been learning from my nation, my different tribes as well. And I like to say too that I went from the colonial, like religious, one God, all type thing to now going to more of quote unquote witchiness. So I'm definitely there with you on that, and being, with nature and understanding all the complexities. And I love how you brought that power in the word incantation, because it can scare folks. And the other word that came up was Māori. Can you tell us what that means?
Of course, yes. Yep. Māori is, I suppose, the very well-known word for tangata whenua, or people of the land. The word Māori pre-colonization just didn't even exist in terms of representing all of us as people, because pre-colonization, we were completely different people groups. We were simply known, our identity, instead of being grouped into one, was intrinsically tribal. So through iwi, tribe, and hapu, sub-tribe affiliations, that's how you would identify yourself, through those means. And then after colonization, the word Māori, which means natural, was used to really lump all of us together. And
oh, nice.
yeah, so it's kind of wild. It's totally wild.
Nice, but not nice.
Yeah, so the word Māori was, uppercase M was non-existent. However, now, obviously, it is. But if we were to say, it would be used traditionally like wai Māori, fresh water, natural water. Yeah, so that's what the word Māori means.
So it's similar to like the U.S., how we have First Nations, how that encompasses all the tribes into one umbrella, and then
exactly
you have the names of the tribes underneath.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's sort of like when we say First Nations in our language, or we say indigenous folk, we say tangata take or iwi take, and take is like original, OG, so the original people. So I love that term, First Nations, because of that. It's just genuinely being like, this is the First Nation that was here. Actually, it's saying in that very statement, it's acknowledging that you were there first. So you can't really say First Nations and then also be like, well, you can, but it would be, a ridiculous paradox by saying that and then also actively trying to suppress or not acknowledge that First Nations folks really were the first nations on the land.
For sure. There's probably, another language to describe that I haven't learned yet that is coming my way. But until then, thank you for sharing what Māori means, because I had no idea what that meant. And, now whenever I see it, I think that it's just going to hold more power, because for me, all I knew was New Zealand and the Haka dance. And for me, the Haka dance, I would watch it and literally it brings me to tears. And then I'd wear my towel and out in the beach, and then do the steps and the movements,
as a model,
not knowing
that's so cute. Cool.
Yeah, I'm not knowing the words or the movements or the energy behind it, but when I do it, I feel so powerful and so my vibrations raise after I do it, and I don't even know the words, but I see the movements, I see the there's the yelling ones, and there's just, I don't know, it just feels good to do it.
No wonder they tried to take our language and our culture from us, because, it's proven. It uplifts and unifies. Exactly that.
Yeah. And I don't know if that's okay for me to be doing that, since I don't know the words or the dance moves. I hope that it's okay, because if you just see me on the beach doing that, mumbling some random words, you'd be like, oh no.
I think that's beautiful. That's really cute.
Oh.
Eventually you can get taught correctly, and then you will feel very empowered. Until then, I understand that you acknowledge the power and the essence from our haka.
Yeah. Can you explain a little bit more too about what the haka is?
Yeah, of course. Yes. I'm very passionate about trying to educate non-Māori folks on the haka, because that was part of my course of study as well when I was at university. It was Māori and Indigenous studies. So I looked at, it's sort of anthropology, but from a wholly Indigenous perspective. But anyhow, some of that, of course, was, looking at the haka and the fact that in our society, haka literally means to perform or to dance. It's really, I guess you could say that it's like a dance with actions. It's rhythmic, and it combines lyrics that are chanted. And the actions are the whakatinanatanga, or the physical embodiment of what is being said, right? And haka, the term war dance is really controversial and not really correct, to be honest. Like it's a cool way when I suppose a haka is like very passionate and quite obviously like a call to war or whatever, but it's not intrinsically a war dance at all. Haka are simply a beautiful combination of actions and of a top line, and that forms such an amazing part of our, tikanga, our culture, can be empowering, uplifting haka to encourage rangatahi, young folks, to stand strong. There can be haka that are lament in a way to grieve loved ones. There can be haka that are more angry, about revenge. It's a form of songwriting, right? And pre-colonization, all of our mātauranga, our knowledge and our whakapapa, our genealogy and everything was passed through the voice. Obviously, we've got carvings and things like that. But yeah, so haka is key to that and forms a lot of our key parts of really our culture, like porphyry, our rituals of welcome, and it's amazing. The first ever haka, by the way, e ako, was performed and written by women. This is another thing that I just love reminding people of, because I feel like the most famous kind of haka is kamate, written by Te Rau Paraha. And this is the one that the All Blacks for a long time, our rugby team, performed before all of their matches. And so it really obviously put our culture, I guess, on the map, if you like, which was great. But also it really just had so much masculinity intertwined with the haka that it almost really pushed wahine, I suppose, out of the mainstream narrative. But if you look at Te Matasini, our national kapa haka competitions, performing arts, Māori performing arts, you'll see many, many wahine. And then if you delve into, traditional knowledge as well, you'll know that e ako was the first haka. I like to just say that to remind people that first haka ever was done by women, and that haka are not war dances per se. They are, in fact, just really amazing compositions that are used in our everyday life and traditional situations to uplift, encourage, and support.
Wait. So you're saying a lesbian women did the first haka?
Just a woman did the first haka, but it was very, 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 very awesome. A troop of women, yes, in order to identify a very problematic chief who had caused some harm to a certain iwi, and they were encouraged to try and find this chief, and they weren't sure what he looked like. His name was Kai. They weren't sure exactly what he looked like. They couldn't identify him except for the fact that he had really, really bad teeth. And so if they were to come along disguised as like a performance troupe of entertainers, then if they were able to make him laugh, they'd be able to identify him. The just general waiata, general songs weren't really working to encourage him. So they did like a really, really crazy haka called e ako, and it involved like a lot of really fancy tricks, hopping on, doing handstands, exposing their tara, their vaginas, chanting. Of course, he loved it. So he was cackling and they were able to identify him through his teeth. And that was, yes. So Finito and Kai is that story, that very well-known story of the first haka.
Wow, that's crazy. Thank you for sharing that. That's so amazing, and I love to just learn about different cultures and to see a lot of the like similarities too. Because I heard you say that like words carried a lot of the histories more than anything, and in so many different cultures, you hear that there's songs that are still exist today that carry these stories, these histories, like throughout the years, through song, through dance. And I think that is really beautiful to hear and learn, because I don't know much about New Zealand, and this is really exciting. But we're also a wellness podcast, so I want to make sure that we get into some of that. You seem very connected and rooted and grounded into your community. And I was wondering, like, are there ways that you've learned through your practices, through your culture and things that is kind of like a tribal wellness practice?
Yeah. There's so many aspects of our culture and our community that are just so remarkable. There's a method that is called Te whare tapa whā, which is like the four-sided house. And it identifies the four intrinsic ridge poles, if you will, for wellness for our people. This is our wairua, the spirit, tinana, the body, te hinengaro, the mind, and tiviti, to the taiao, the environment around us. And when all of those are in balance, we too are in balance. When we're looking after our body, when we're looking after our spiritual needs, and when we're looking after our mind, and when we're grounded in Papatsuanaku, our Earth Mother, and the environment around us. Ways that I suppose I kind of actively practice my spirituality, which in turn really helps my wellness, my mental health, my connectedness to my culture. You know, when you're stripped of your language, especially for our people, the language, te reo Māori, our language, is the vehicle for which we carry all of our genealogy, all of our music, our rituals of welcome, absolutely everything. So if we don't have our language, how on earth are we going to be able to do that? And, you know, we can't do our karakia, we can't do our incantations without the knowledge and the wielding of our language. We can't do our music and our songs. And we have songs for literally everything, you know, like ori ori, lullabies that were our way of instilling into our unborn who were still in the womb, reciting that over them, ori ori, to show them their ancestral connections and who their whānau is, who their family is, what place they're going to have in society. And then when they're born, reciting that again, but to really ground them in their position within the community, and our whakapapa, everything like that. So for me, I suppose the knowledge and the grounding in my language, and especially in my mita, which is like my dialect, is so important to me. For this knowledge is what allows me to be able to recite and uplift our karakia, especially pai Māori, which means goodness and peace. And that's the prayer that I recited at the beginning of our session. Pai Māori is such an important part of my life, I feel. It was a whakapono or belief system that arose in the 1800s during the Raupatsu period, which is like the land war period when our tribe was pushed out of our ancestral lands by the colonizers, and we sought refuge with our whanaunga, with our relatives in the Taranaki region, and we were led by our king, our Māori king, and he was seeking our Māori king, by the way, the kingitanga, the Māori king movement, was also arose at that similar time in the 1800s as a way to, as I said before, like our people as Māori, as tangata whenua, as people of the land, were individual tribes. We weren't really together per se. But of course on colonization, when, you know, we were really, you know, under the strong thumb of England and the monarchy there, the kingitanga or the Māori king movement was established as a way to unite our people and be that presence that could counter and challenge the monarchy in the hope that we would be able to retain and return our lands and our culture. So anyway, our kingitanga rests and resides under the caretakership of my tribe, Waikato-Tainui. And so he led our tribe when we were being, you know, annexed out of our lands into Taranaki, and was searching for a whakapono, a belief system. Apart from, of course, we've always had our ancestral beliefs, but kind of like a religion, I suppose, that could counter Christianity. And pai Māori was being actively cultivated and nurtured within the Taranaki region. And yeah, pai Māori means goodness and peace. It pretty much meant that its followers believed, started by Te Haumene, that through peaceful resistance and strong belief and prayers, we would be freed from the hand of the colonists and have our lands returned. And they were completely against war. Obviously, there were a lot of losses where the pai Māori followers would be standing in rows, chanting the karakia, the prayers, the incantations, believing that with enough faith, the bullets would pass by them. But of course, the bullets did not. And so there were a lot of losses there, but nevertheless, pai Māori, which is just such a beautiful belief system, has always accompanied the kingitanga, our king movement, and has been something that's just been passed down from generation to generation, and has also been the belief system that my great-grandmother, great-great-grandmother, and so on and so forth have all observed, and that's actively part of our society and our day-to-day culture. 7 a.m. in the morning, 7 p.m. at night, pai marere, karakia are recited. And so that's something that I do take into my everyday life that actively connects me to my culture, to my people, to my ancestors. And I know that though there were so many losses and, we're still actively being oppressed, but are still here, physically here, no matter what. We are survivors, we are fighters, and the fact that these karakia are still prevalent and held on to today is, I feel like, the embodiment of that, the testament to that. So yeah, I feel like my practice is I just love my karakia. I love my incantations. They really ground me. Find myself, I really do them before anything, before video shoots, before my performances, before writing sessions, before recording in the studio, before I teach lessons, absolutely everything, constantly doing karakia. And it's just a beautiful way to be able to calm myself down and ready myself, but also all of those around me respond in kind. And it's stunning. So yeah, I would say that. There's also, we have a lot of other amazing rongoa or health practices or healing practices related to the world around us. Te tāiao, romi and miri are like traditional ways of kind of massage, I suppose, and imparting a good spirit, healing spirit. So that's something that's really important. Songs, singing, of course, singing our ancestral songs, reading the memoirs and books from our tribe. I've been blessed to have my great-grandmother, so my grandmother Rangirara's mother, Nani Mite, who's a beautiful, renowned composer. She has a collection of pretty much her stories and her knowledge that one of the aunties at my marae, so our traditional meeting place, gave to me. So I seek a lot of connection from that. And yeah, also I'm just very lucky. My Nani Mite she was iconic. She was so cool. So there's a lot of video that I have of her as well by various biographers. And one of my things that I need to do for my whānau is because a lot of my whānau doesn't speak our language yet. It's still on that reconnecting journey. Everyone wants to know what Nani's saying, so I need to, it'll take a long time, but to write down the translation for that. But yeah, so I would say those are all my kind of wellness practices, if you will, and returning back to my people when I can. I love them, being surrounded by my nannies, eating our traditional foods. One of my things that I love to do is manu harvesting, traditional bird harvesting. Me and there's like a group of us real queer girls, and we just love to harvest our manu, our birds. They just hold so much spiritual power, and they're amazing for including them in performance. The kiria, the elbow to fingertip effectively of our hawk, which is like about this big, then using that for gesturing as well. And yeah, it's great.
That's amazing. I love that. I love that, like that balance of mind, body, spirit, and Mother Earth. Like we're so aligned on that. Just to hear your connection to your culture, it's so beautiful, but also like the dichotomy of like such beauty, but also such trauma. Would you say that the beauty and the trauma is what inspired you or impacted you to start your art, your music, your activism?
Yeah, true. Yeah, I suppose so, in a way, because the act, I suppose, of composing, of writing, of singing and performing, a lot of my work is definitely, practically all of it, to be honest, is definitely informed by, that intersection of religion and politics and queerness and indigeneity, because they're all connected. You can't really have one without the other. And especially like many of our people still growing up in, the wreckage of the colonial violence that was enacted and still is being enacted. I think the act of songwriting is a way to be able to process that trauma. And I suppose it feels like a never-ending well of inspiration because, of course, some of my songs, I have one called Pray For Me, which it's pretty obvious what it speaks of. And then I've got another one that's coming out and it's called Holy Water. And then another one called Crucified by You, which I think it was that one that probably was the thing on account of the face sitting. that probably got me in the video, that got me banned from performing at a church. But anyway, it's not easy in the slightest, writing and releasing these songs, because I do pay the consequences with my, immediate family. I'm definitely a controversial figure. But I do it because I just feel like that's just essential to me trying to heal my own wounds, but also from a place of strength to be able to release these stories that are just echoed around the world whenever we've got cases of indigenous people and being colonized through the weapon of religion. The effects are still felt today. So I know that even though it's like a relatively niche lens of myself being a young Māori lesbian who's grown up in conservative Christianity, but also on the other side of it, been actively fighting against that with the involvement of also equally being really involved in probably the same respect with my culture, which, I would say it definitely informs everything that I do. And though it's super difficult, there are moments where I'm just like, why am I doing this? Like, it's just, I feel like I'm doing more like harm to myself almost than good, because in speaking out against the controlling practices that come through, a certain upbringing, I'm also being like shunned by that exact community, even though I'm, you know what I mean? So that's kind of difficult. But the positive things are that whenever I get the opportunity to perform, which as of late has been just a lot, when it's the right, when it's performing in the safety of one's community, whether that be the queer community or indigenous community or both, it's just so cool. It's like that confirmation that this is the right thing to do, because of course it's not easy by any means to be able to do it, but then when you perform, the freedom that comes of being able to perform these songs and then seeing the reaction and the connection, because there's so many others that feel and have experienced that same thing or are actively trying to come to terms with their sexuality in like an oppressive environment or are just minority. So anyway, I know it's absolutely worth it. And I wouldn't be doing anything else. I just can't help myself because it's just who I am as a person. So I'm going to do it regardless. And I'm just grateful I have an incredible support system around me. It's an amazing way to try and, through music, rather than standing there and giving some lecture, to be able to confront those family members and people around me in a way that is through art, right? I mean, that's really what art's for. So yeah, I actively do that. Have a bunch of songs, of course, that are about, colonization as well, about anti-slut shaming, calling out the pedophiles in our communities who prey on the vulnerable, which of course is women, children, and queer folks. And yeah, it is a privilege to do. But I just also, at the same time, I just feel like it's something that I would be doing regardless. I just can't help myself. I don't see the point of me making music other than to do this. And it's just something it's a need, and I just have to do it. And I love doing it. And to be able to also do that in my language as well, and the healing that it brings, and hopping between the two worlds. Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
I get to do things like this, like being here with you.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. Like I can relate so heavily because of being like having my upbringing, like definitely, the church would not want me there. I've been in a church where they clearly said out loud I was going to burn in hell, and the whole church like turned around and looked at me, and I just like felt like I was on fire in that moment. So yeah. I know exactly like what you mean by you're being shunned and shamed by these people, and how scary it can be, and how frightening, and how close it gets you to silence. And then you're like, you know what? No, this is bigger than me. This is bigger than them. And you continue on going. So I just wanted to say thank you for keep on doing what you're doing and expressing yourself through your creativity, no matter how many people are trying to silence you. I just want to like give you your flowers for that and take that moment.
Thank you.
Yeah. Wait, what did you say?
Oh, sorry. I just said thank you.
Oh, that was beautiful. I like the way you said it the first time. If I'm correct, your next album is in your language completely?
No, I do have my debut album. It's bilingual, but I do have a separate project that called Tikahu, dedicated to my nannies, and that has not one word of English. Yeah. It's more of in the folk
That's
space.
beautiful.
And whereas Theia is more in like the alternative kind of space. Theia's bilingual if you look up some of my songs and discography, but Tikahu entirely in Reo Māori.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's beautiful.
They both serve different purposes, you know what I mean? I could do everything in Reo Māori, but then I feel it would not be as accessible to the communities which I really want to bring my music to and encourage, you know, fellow indigenous folk, fellow queer folk. So instead it's got little mixes and moments of that. And then for Tikahu, the sole original purpose was to give space to be able to hold some of the mātauranga, some of the knowledge from my nannies. And so in order to preserve that and give permanence to that for my community, and like a very, pretty much in the style of the music that my nannies used to listen to, which is, you know, 50s and 60s, doo-woppy kind of things. So that's why I did that. And it's definitely grown to be bigger than I, you know, could have imagined. And so doing both projects simultaneously, side by side, but each serving their purpose is a real privilege and really cool. Definitely keeps me grounded.
Wow. And are all these projects already released, or
Yes.
are they going to be released?
Tikahu, the album is out. I released that, I think, was it 1 year ago or 2 years ago now? And Tikahu is spelled Tekaahu, means the hawk, which is a manu rangatira, chiefly bird for our tribe. And then for Theia, I've got the songs from my debut album that are out at the moment is Pray For Me, Crucified By You, Dollhouse, and Girls. So those ones are out at the moment. And then my next ones are, you know, even more right there.
Oh,
You know, just coming for the patriarchy, coming for the monarchy, coming for those systems of control. And it's absolutely fabulous. I'm very, very blessed to do what I do.
can I ask you when we should be looking out for these?
Yes. Oh
New
my
song?
gosh. Yes, you absolutely can. The next song, I cannot wait to drop it. It's going to be out in May. Take a look. There's a very, very exciting video that holds the song, and that was just, oh my gosh, probably one of the most fun and empowering videos I've ever done with many of my peers, my Māori peers who are fellow university students and things like that. So it's very traditional, very, very badass and very cool. So keep an eye out in May. And then after that, I'll be dropping my debut record, which I'm so excited about. I can't wait. Yeah.
And you have a bunch of tour dates coming up too, correct?
I do, yes. There's so many and they keep being added to. I'm so grateful. Shall I say them?
If you want, if you'd like to.
Okay, slay. Firstly, if anyone's in Vancouver, then know my hara might come along to Babes on Babes. And so I'm performing there, headlining on the 28th of March, and then head to Miami for Miami Beach Pride. Super excited. Performing there. Then to Seattle for Belltown Bloom, which I was so stoked to be on that lineup. Because last year Pussy Riot played in L7 and I was like, damn, this is cool. Baby Mothers playing and stuff like that. So I'm very excited. So I'm playing that, Belltown Bloom, Seattle. After that, head to LA because I'm headlining the Women's Freedom Festival, which is like the precursor, the hype party before the Dyke March. So yes, and then have some more that are going on after to June as well, till the end of the year. But they're like still bubbling away, you know.
Just in case somebody's driving or washing dishes or doing something with their hands while they're listening to this podcast, can you let them know how to find these dates or how to follow you or all the above?
Thank you. Yes. He whakaaro pai, a really good idea. Okay. Hara mai ki taku pai ahua. Come to my Instagram. And the way you spell my name is Theia, and then just put official after it, and then EXO. Theia Official EXO on Instagram. And then on TikTok, I'm literally just Theia, like Theia. And I love my Instagram and my TikTok. I like put all of, a lot of performance videos on there. So you see really cool moments of energy, but also vulnerability. It's so cool. So find me on there. Or if you're on Bandcamp and you're like an avid listener on there, that's where you can buy indie musician music and like actually, you know, put money in our pockets, which is incredible, and support that art. So I'm Princess Theia on Bandcamp. You can find me there. But honestly, I'm just grateful to anyone who's listening, and really through listening, you're supporting Indigenous and Māori queer musicians. It's just so fabulous, and artists. So thank you.
So before I ask you this last question, I do want to ask you if you have any shout outs or anybody that you would like to spotlight.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Thank you. Okay. A very, very ingaka nui ana hau ki taku hapori. You know, I'm very passionate about my community and my people and my fellow musicians and songwriters. So I wanted to shout out some of my favorite wahine Māori, some of my favorite who make music, just in case you're interested in checking them out. They're kind of, you know, different genres, different vibes. So first is Whirimako Black, who's one of our really cool aunties, and she just writes such incredible, folky, mana-filled music and has such a beautiful, deep, rich voice. So listen to her music, especially Kaihea Takureo is such an important song, which means where is my language? And the lyrics in it are just so beautiful. Kaihea Takureo karanga ki oku tipuna, hoki mai, e takureo rangatira. This is the first song that introduced me to Whirimako Black, to be honest, and it means, where is my language? I call out to my ancestors, return to me, my noble language. So it's all about encouraging our people to reclaim our reo. And then also Macy Rika, Sister Macy Rika, she's such a beautiful, beautiful Māori tau, calm-spirited woman. Look at her. And then also, if you're on Spotify, I have a playlist if you go to my page, and it's literally called Kia Rere Te Reo, which just means let the language soar, and it's got all of my favorite musicians, and it's entirely in Reo Māori. And then I gotta spotlight my great grandmother, Nanny Mite Te Aho Karaka Kukutai, because her very famous song is called Kiwiweka, and it's just such a treasure. He taunga tuku I homeki moto mātou iwi. You know, it's really a treasure that's been passed down for my tribe and for my people. And I do a cover of it as well, which is really cute. And it's under my other project, my kaupapa waiata reo Māori, my Māori language project, Te Kāhu. And the song's called Kiwiweka. Yeah, it's really beautiful. Check all that out, and thank you. I hope you love what you hear. Oh, also, if anyone's into like hip hop rap, check out my song Creep. It's a bilingual rap song, and that's the one that calls out the pedophiles. And it's with one of my cousins, Vane, who's a fellow queer Māori rapper, and it's really cool. The pre-chorus is really dope, and it goes, Kua wetea taku moko nahai, kore au e noho puku anō, kai toa kia mau koe poko tipa. And that means my muzzle has been loosened, and I will not sit in silence anymore. You're about to get caught for what you did. Poko tipa, which is kind of just a real big swear word, means I will boil your head and strip the mana, strip the authority. Anyway, so yeah, check all that out.
That is awesome. Well, we're definitely going to have to ask you for spellings of all of these things,
yes,
so that people have accessibility for these things.
Yes, absolutely.
And before we get to your closing karakia, I want to ask you one more question.
Go for it,
And
Eva.
it's the last question we ask everyone. If you could describe radical acceptance and self-care in one word, phrase, or mantra, what would it be?
Okay, the first thing that I have two whakaaro. I know you've already said one, but I'll give
It's
you
okay.
both in case anyone finds encouragement from them. The first is a really well-known, like a metaphor, a kupu whakarite, and it's he toka tū moana. And toka means rock or boulder, tū means to stand, and wana, of course, like the film, means ocean. So it's a rock that stands in the ocean. It's our way of acknowledging a strong person or someone who's overcome obstacles. And I just feel like it's the perfect way within that metaphor, like the embodiment of exactly what you've said. That really is like radical love and acceptance, because the sea is not a calm place. She is choppy, powerful. She can cleanse and purify, but she can destroy. And so to be like a rock that stands in the ocean means you have overcome many obstacles. You are strong. You are like full of faith. And it doesn't mean it's easy. It just means you've really grown to be comfortable in who you are as a person or in life, to be able to stay firm and steadfast no matter what
I love that.
the climate is around you, you know, and that's what I feel. And the second thing I wanted to say is just to leave with this whakatauki or whakatauaki. That means like a proverb or a verbatim proverb, whakatauaki, when you can cite who said it. And this is mahia te mahi hei paenga mo te iwi. And that means do what is necessary for the benefit of the people or of your tribe. And that's something that I really just try and live by. That's by Princess Te Puia Herangi, which is one of our very, very famous and well-loved princesses from my tribe, and who was a really huge part, very influential in the life of my great-grandmother as well. So I always hold on to those words because I feel like that's what my great-grandmother lived by. And no wonder when you're nurtured by Princess Te Puia, and also something that I try and do, which is what just keeps me going, I suppose, as a person. Just got to do what is necessary for the betterment and the wellness of our community. And if that means sometimes putting yourself in uncomfortable situations, but you are true to yourself and your beliefs, then that is the driving force. And that is really what matters most. Doesn't mean it's easy, but it's the right thing to do. So, yeah.
So beautiful. I love that. And perhaps later we will ask you, if you're comfortable to give us the spellings of those in your language and the translation so we can provide those for the listeners in the show notes, because those are both absolutely beautiful.
Thank you. Absolutely.
Awesome. All right. Now it's for the closing karakia.
Yes,
So
that's it. And well done, Efwa. I acknowledge you and the language and your pronunciation. Very, very good.
Yes.
This
Thank
karakia
you.
that I will do, hei whakakapi ngenei kōrero, to close off our conversation in these kōrero, is called Binuhia. And this is a karakia that lifts the tapu or the sacredness of our session and hands it over to Rongomatane, who's our God of peace and who's suspended high up in the heavens and allows us to go about our daily tasks safely and calmly. So this is Binuhia. Binuhia, unuhia, unuhia ki te uru tapu nui, kia wātea, kia māma, te tinana, te ngātau, te wairua, I te ara takatā, koe ara e rongo whikiri ake ki runga kia tīna. And everyone says, tīna, hui tai ki e. That means we are all united and we affirm.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. I had to close my eyes while you did it. It just felt better.
Mm-hmm. Don't you worry. I do too.
For
I
me.
spend all my time with my eyes closed. I guess you can't see because of my morphity, because of my glasses. Sorry.
Yeah.
I'm like-
show the people your blue eyes.
Go check out, listen to, of course, my music, but if you'd like to listen to other Māori music, I was telling Big yesterday about how one of my favorite songs at the moment is by this band called Corella, and it's called Blue Eyed Māori, and it's like blonde-haired, blue-eyed Māori. And I got blonde hair and I got blue eyes. Mm-hmm.
It's about you.
I always say it's about me. I always say it.
Yeah, we got to get that, the spelling of that, so we can make that available for our listeners in the show notes, because that'd be so awesome. But I do want to just say thank you again. Like, you are such a blessing, and thank you for sharing all this information, the history, your heart, your spirit, your energy. I really appreciate you being here today with us and, sharing you with the people.
Tēnā rawa te koe e hua. Mōri whai wā ki te kōrero tahi. O tira ngā manaakitanga o te wāhingaro. Ki runga ki tēnā o koutou e whakarongo mai nei. Thank you so much, V, for holding this space and for sitting in unity with me and discussing such amazing things. And blessings to all of you who are listening. The many blessings of the underworld be upon you all. Thank you.
We have so much more to explore and share with you on the pod. Tap that follow or subscribe button to get every episode as soon as it's released. And give us a 5-star rating or review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. And join our wellness community on Instagram at Quest Wellness Pod. This podcast was produced by Puka Puka Creative. Executive producer, Stevie Kwa. Producer, editor, and sound designer, Leah Jackson. Associate producer, Rafaela Landestoy. Original music produced by Basque. His music is amazing. And we can't forget the emotional support by our fur babies, Frankie, Nugget, and Pukalani.